The passing of the torch is a core component of most shonen battle anime, of which Naruto is no exception. However, what makes Naruto interesting is just how heavily integrated into the narrative structure this trope was. A distinct power gap was established and maintained between the current and next generations early on. The students slowly grew to stand alongside or even surpass their mentors around the halfway point, and by the end of the war arc, those same students had now moved to the front lines and become the proverbial knights protecting the king on the shogi board. This mirrors Masashi Kishimoto's place in Weekly Shonen Jump, where he began as an unproven artist with a couple of one-shots to his name and eventually became a magazine frontrunner. Then of course there's the familial aspect of it, something which also stemmed from Kishimoto's own personal journey. While working on Naruto, Kishimoto grew up, got married, had a kid, and that parental perspective was eventually reflected through the eyes of Minato and Kushina. Like the author creating it and the audience consuming it, Naruto matured, and on both a narrative and metatextual level, he learned to carry on the legacy of his predecessors before passing it on to those who followed him. The Land of Waves set the stage by offering an opponent too strong for Naruto and Sasuke to handle on their own. As rookies, they had much to learn, so while the two managed to help their mentor escape from Zabuza's water prison, that's all they could handle. Kakashi did most of the heavy lifting initially, and even in the climax, Naruto and Sasuke were paired against Haku, Zabuza's subordinate, while Kakashi once again dealt with the Demon of the Mist. This power gap was reinforced in the Chunin exams, where the Genin battled amongst themselves in an event supervised by superior ninja. The proceedings were grounded in the knowledge that the setting's strongest combatants would not be involved, but the stakes remained high for the protagonists. This was a developmental arc, an opportunity for these younger characters to work out a distinct fighting style, find their place in the story, and push themselves to greater heights. That being said, the bigger picture was kept in sight. Orochimaru's appearance in the Forest of Death served as both a taste of what was to come for Naruto and Sasuke, as well as a setup for the broader background conflict. When the Sound Invasion began, it was the third Hokage who dealt with Orochimaru, leaving Sasuke and later Naruto to take care of Gaara. Shino got to fight another low-level opponent in Kankuro, and while Shikamaru did manage to pin down a few elites from the Sound, he couldn't hold out, which forced Asuma to swoop in and finish them off. These encounters made it clear that Naruto and his peers had plenty of ground to cover before they could face the world head-on, and the same could be said for the Tsunade Search. Sasuke got wrecked by Itachi, Naruto barely held his own against Kabuto, and the Sannin raised the power ceiling even higher. No matter how much these characters seemed to progress, they were being repeatedly kept in check. Next was Sasuke Retrieval, another developmental conflict. Only instead of fighting one another, Naruto's group needed to ascend to the level of Orochimaru's henchmen, the Sound Four. The obvious exception here was the dramatic clash between Naruto and Sasuke, but while the power on display might have paled in comparison to their future battles, the outcome would shape the direction of the story nevertheless. With Shikamaru's new Chunin status came a heavier weight of responsibility, so even though the boys weren't yet contending with the strongest threats in the series, their failures began to carry greater consequences. There can be no giving up when lives other than one's own are at stake. For Shikamaru, running away would not save his friends. He would simply be letting someone else make the mistakes for him, letting someone else take responsibility for their lives, and consequently, their deaths. To avoid scenarios like this in the future, he, like the rest of his comrades, would have to improve. Post-time skip is when Kishimoto started to bridge the pre-established power gap. The main antagonists of the Kazekage rescue mission weren't mere minions, but rather full-fledged members of the Akatsuki. Their entrance came at the expense of Gaara, who had progressed from Sand Shinobi to leader of the entire Sand Village. Sakura worked alongside the Elder Chiyo in a battle against Sasori, and although Naruto tried to go after Deidara himself, Kakashi still needed to step in to protect his disciple. The protagonists had moved to the front lines and began having a larger impact on the world around them, but they weren't at the point where they could handle such tasks on their own. This middling status was reinforced during the Tenchi Bridge arc when Yamato was assigned to Team 7 to fulfill Kakashi's role as squad leader. At this stage in the narrative, the metaphorical torch still remained in the hands of the mentors, the current generation, and any prior disruptions had come from forces like Orochimaru and the Akatsuki, antagonists born from the previous regime's failures. With the main characters growing more capable by the day, however, the balance was sure to shift eventually. A turning point was fast approaching, and as one light was extinguished, a new spark would soon take its place. Besides being a stepping stone in Naruto's growth, something which I've already talked at length about, the main purpose of the Akatsuki suppression arc was, first and foremost, to begin passing the torch from one generation to the next. Before, the conflicts faced by the Konoha 11 weren't the be-all end-all. Each squad was still led by a mentor, Sasuke was still training under Orochimaru, and even when the characters did receive their own important battles, they were never on par with the final boss. However, the winds of change that had been stirring since the time skip finally whipped up a storm in a rapid-fire chain of events. Hidan killed Asuma, so Shikamaru burned and buried Hidan in his sensei's stead. Naruto stepped in to defeat Kakuzu where Kakashi and the others could not. Sasuke absorbed Orochimaru, created his own squad, and established himself as a significant threat when he defeated Deidara. Pain killed Jiraiya, and sought to realize his teacher's dreams by his own means, to which Naruto responded in kind. Call it a core motto of Weekly Shonen Jump, call it a fact of life. A new generation will always follow in the footsteps of the old. The young will grow up watching the backs of their predecessors, learning from their experiences in order to build from them. No one can be perfect, but they can strive to improve, to carve a path worth walking in.
お前もいずれラーメンおごる側になるし、ナルト先生とか呼ばれんだからよ。俺たちだっていつまでもガキのままじゃいられねえ。アスマやジライア様みてえな。
The time had finally come for these snot-nosed brats to step up. For Shikamaru, that involved filling a role that had been left empty. For Naruto, that meant fighting his own battles, casting aside the student-teacher dynamic that he and Kakashi once had. Teamwork and the ability to rely on others is important, but individual strength is equally necessary. To match Sasuke, Naruto couldn't remain a kid with a safety net anymore. To truly protect others, he first had to learn to protect himself. This changing of the guard wasn't instantaneous, though. After working under their seniors for so long, taking center stage would require more effort than that. For Sasuke, this meant finally realizing his vengeance. After Itachi's defeat, Sasuke became a threat to the world not simply for who he associated with, but for his own actions surrounding the 5 Kage summit. The power cap once presented by Itachi and Orochimaru were now gone, giving him the personal agency to do as he pleased. His hatred may have been used by Obito, but the desire to destroy the leaf was his own. Similarly, Naruto could no longer rely on Jiraiya's aid. He too broke through his own glass ceiling and took control of his destiny, becoming a hero to Konoha in the process. With that being said, there still remained a few ghosts of days gone by who weren't quite ready to hand the world over to their descendants. Danzo consistently refused to trust his Leaf Juniors, whether that meant undermining Tsunade's reign as Hokage or killing the messenger frog to keep Naruto away from pain. Though his goal was to protect the village, good intentions do not a good person make. Danzo made no effort to cooperate with the younger generation, and because of that, his time as Hokage would never be recognized on the iconic wall, a symbolic example of his failure to leave behind a legacy. With a hollow sacrifice that couldn't even erase the threat his ruthless practices had created, Danzo disappeared into the shadows. And then, of course, there's Madara Uchiha.
They say I passed the torch. I want my damn torch back!
Madara doesn't even try to pass the torch, instead using his successors as tools for his own ends. Obito, a sacrifice so Madara could be reborn. Sasuke, an extra pair of magic eyes. Meanwhile, Hashirama's Will of Fire was all about paving the way for the next generation. From Hiruzen to Jiraiya to Naruto, Asuma to Shikamaru, Tsunade to Sakura, basically everyone in the Leaf Village had inherited his ideals and strength in one way or another, something which literally manifests itself in Naruto's ability to pass around his Nine-Tails chakra. So, while Madara may have won his battle against the reanimated Hashirama during the war, he couldn't defeat Hashirama's philosophy. By not passing the torch, he let his legacy burn out. Special thanks to King Kevin 30, Stone Cold 007, Roggle, Jackerknife, and all of my other patrons for supporting videos like these. I hinted at this one way back in the summer of Naruto, so I've finally got the leftovers of that out of the way, so now I can move on to do other things, and maybe I can be more than just the Naruto YouTuber. I've definitely fallen into my shonen niche as of late. I would like to cover things that aren't shonen, but that seems to be what catches my fancy most of the time, so that's just kind of where I'm at now. Anyways, that does it for me. I will see you in the next one.